Hey, pool chasers. Real quick before we get the episode started, we wanted to mention that SR Smith is running a giveaway for 2 of their R Series loungers specifically for our listeners. And it's basically the easiest giveaway ever. All you need to do is enter your first and last name, business name, and email address. That's it. It's that simple. The best part is that the winner even gets to choose their color. So check it out by going to srsmith.com/poolchasers or click the link directly below. The contest runs through July 31st, 2021, so sign up now.
We focus a lot on the life cycle of the pool. I mean, the pool has a life, right? Most of the time they're built and brand new. It's when you have smaller kids, right? And there's a certain set of things that you want in and around the pool. During that time, when they get to be teenagers, that's probably a different set of stuff. And then when they're gone and it's just you and the wife, right? You probably want a different kind of vibe or approach to the pool.
This is episode 157 with Brett Fritts of SR Smith. Enjoy.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Oregon, correct?
Correct.
Nice. Where? Portland?
Yeah. Portland's the major city, and SR Smith is in Canby, Oregon, which is a suburb about 15 miles south of Portland. So
Very good. Very excited to have you here in the studio. Can you introduce yourself to the listeners and your role at SR Smith?
Sure. My name is Brett Fritts, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for SR Smith. I've been there about 13 years, a couple tours of duty. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. I'm responsible for product engineering, product management, marketing, as well as I'm leading the integration for a recent acquisition, which was Stark Bulkheads.
Oh, okay. So seems like a pretty chill job.
Yeah, it's fun.
Not much going on.
No, yeah, not a lot to do.
So how'd you get into the pool industry?
Kind of an interesting story. So my background is in the electronic security and life safety business, and I worked for a company in Portland, Oregon. When I first started there, it was a smaller 30 million-ish in sales company, private equity owned. And by the time I left there 11 years later, we were 2.2 billion and had done 40 plus acquisitions, had been acquired by GE, had merged with a competitor. So had quite a ride over a decade or so. And they were going to move our facility to Florida, and I wasn't interested in doing that. So I figured it was time to maybe take a different ride.
Yeah, somebody from Oregon doesn't want to move to Florida, right?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, I'd go there for a while.
If you want the
I don't
sun,
know
maybe.
not the whole time. So anyway, I had gone to a friend of mine that owned an advertising firm that knew lots of different businesses. And I said, look, I want to go do something different, completely different industry. And he introduced me to a company called Marquee Spas in Independence, Oregon. And met with them, and we kind of mutually agreed to do a 1-year kind of trial consulting gig, to see if there was a good fit. And so I was doing that, and the gentleman that I worked for at GE, unbeknownst to me, had become the CEO of SR Smith.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had never heard of SR Smith. I mean, obviously, I've jumped off diving boards a bunch.
Yeah, you want different. I'll give you different.
Yeah,
diving boards.
So in 2004, I went to Marquee, and late 2005, he became the CEO of Smith, and he called me and said, hey, I need some help over here. Can you come over and help me? And so I moved over, and I was the VP of Marketing and Business Development. So I ran like kind of the international sales and then the marketing for the company, and I was there 7 years, and then I took a 3-year hiatus to chase a software pot of gold in a completely different industry. And then in 2015, he came to me, and they had purchased a lighting company called Fiber Stars, and quite frankly, the integration had not gone as well as expected. And so I was brought in to kind of right the ship, so to speak. And then we did that and just kind of continued to move up through the ranks. And now I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. What has it been like to adapt to the swimming pool industry, having a background in something completely different? I mean, it's not like anybody prepares themselves to be, working at a company like SR Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nuances always in every different industry. And I mean, I try to focus on like, who are the customers and what do they need and things like that. And what are the problems they have that we can help solve. And, if you kind of keep it high level like that, the details and nuances of the industry, I think kind of take care of itself. I mean, Smith products in general are pretty simple to understand. They're mostly mechanical designs, and my background in electronics and software, the other things that we do that have, electrical elements to it, the lighting and our lift controllers and things like that. That's kind of in my sweet spot. Obviously I can understand the mechanical stuff.
Yeah. So we love to hear every company's kind of history and background. So maybe you could take us back to 1932 and how this all got kicked off.
When I was 8 years old in 1932.
Yeah.
It's not true, everybody.
Yeah. So what we know is there was a gentleman named Samuel Robert Smith, and he was in the wood industry, which is the predominant industry in the Pacific Northwest, and especially during that time. And somehow started making diving boards, and the first diving boards were made from Doug fir timber, and they were covered in burlap sacks.
Oh, wow.
So, he hadn't evolved to sand tread yet.
Wow.
And so he did that in the Portland area until about 1953, where he moved out to Canby, which is where our current facility is. And no one knows for sure, but the speculation is he moved out there to be closer to the wood supply, as well as there's basically train transportation that was more readily accessible. And after World War II, I mean, there was a huge timber boom, and so Portland got very big, and so it's likely they just wanted to, get out into the suburbs, so to speak. And I think, as I mentioned in our kind of pre-conference here, at that point in 1953, they were doing about 1,200 diving boards a year.
And where were these diving boards going? I mean, were these residential? Were these all over the place? Was there kind of a market for these at that
predominantly
time?
residential? We don't have great like traceability back into where things were going back in that era. Most people, I'm sure, weren't thinking Smith was going to be around for close to 90 years kind of thing at that point. To go back to your question.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking before this that around that time frame, the majority of the swimming pools being built, which it was a luxury, were all about the same size and shape.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, a ton of kidney pools that had a deep end. So, you put a diving board in, whereas now you're not going to see a diving board probably on a pool with a vanishing edge, or if there's like a rock feature that you can jump off of, maybe there won't be a diving board. There's just so many different types of pools being built now that, the market, has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about, the types of pools being built today are dramatically different than what they were building, during that time period. The attachment rate for a diving board back in those days was extremely high, right? That was the go-to
entertainment
kind of accessory
Yeah.
entertainment
Mhm.
portion of the pool. And today there's, the pools are dramatically different. There's just a plethora of different types of accessories that can be integrated in to enhance the experience. Plus the fact that there's certain parts of the country like Florida where you can't literally dig deep enough to have a pool that would accommodate a diving board. So the types of pools is a big influence on how often a diving board could get attached. And it's different today than it was back then.
Right. Do you have any idea what one of the first diving boards looked like? Is there any photos or, anything in the archive?
The earliest thing that we have, and I think I shared this with you guys in the pre-call, was oddly enough, one of our sales reps in Australia found a video from 1953 that was like an archival thing that profiled SR Smith building diving boards in Canby. And I went to our VP of operations, who's been with the company about 38 years, I think. And he told me when he started, that's exactly what they were doing, was what was pictured in that video. Laminated wood and some gel coat and some sand and we still do that kind of bread and butter diving board today, but we also do, composite types of things and more, utilization of acrylic skins and things like that.
Yeah, we'll have to share that video. It's really cool. I like the way you guys did it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Shows how far we've come.
So how has the diving board evolved since then?
Well, obviously, today we still use wood core in a large portion of our diving boards. Historically, those were like probably when he was doing it, was solid wood core, and then it kind of came a laminated sheet. We still use.
Is that for like the flex so that it can bend a certain way?
Yeah, and just durability and flex basically. And then we'll do some composite kind of cores on some of the higher end boards that we can skin with different kind of treatments, and we can integrate in water features and things like that. And then recently we've been kind of doing a hybrid thing where we'll take kind of a traditional board design and we've put in a new type of tread, which is like a rubberized cork that comes in colors, and it's called True Tread. And so it kind of takes that traditional diving board and adds kind of a nice modern
texture to
layer to it and texture to it, and the color really pops, and it can be fairly dynamic and holds up well in the sun. And for some people, it get a little irritated by sand sometime on the board, whereas this has more of a smooth kind of rubbery surface.
Yeah, we love that when we can make these products that we use in our backyard or by our pool look great. They're not, compromising one thing or the other.
Right.
Because now, especially now, since the pandemic, we've been spending so much time at home and in the backyard that, we need to look at this, backyard space all the time. So why not make all these different things, whether it be the light, the furniture, the texture of the diving board, the slide? Why not make these things not only functional, but also look great at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, we've had a fair amount of success with our designer rail series, which is rails that are modern, have a more cool aesthetic vibe that fits with today's pools designs, and they fit into the same footprint as your standard figure 4 rail that everybody knows and loves. And so super easy swap out, and it really does give you a good before and after kind of updating of the pool for pretty low cost, really.
Nice.
Very random question,
Uh-huh.
but every time I see one of those, I think of skate rails because I used to skateboard a lot. Have you ever sold like rails to like a skate park or anything?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
When I was a kid, I seen one of those. All I wanted to do was skate down that rail into the pool.
Water.
Pretty sure I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, we could certainly do that. We have a very large custom rail business where we do all kinds of super elaborate designs. So to me, it would be a no-brainer for us to.
Are they hiring? Head of skate division right here, selling rails.
Smith skateboard park division.
Kind of looks like a skate logo, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it does.
It's supposed to be a diving board.
You just need another like wheel or something on the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw another video in it of how diving boards are made that you guys have, and it's pretty hands-on process. It looks like. Is it still being done mostly by hand like that?
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did a show, How's It Made, I think, maybe 6-7 years ago, and they focused on diving boards. Yeah, there's a fair amount of manual process in it. I mean, obviously the wood cores come machined and finished, and the acrylic skins, we put in a kind of vacuum mold type thing, but all the assembly, the painting, the texturing, the packaging, all that's,
yeah, it's cool to watch it, being upside down, and then the wood getting set inside the acrylic, and kind of watching him pull the layer of fiberglass, like that's kind of coated, and molding it and shaping it. Like, I guess you don't really see the diving board because you see it, right side up, but if you think of all the components and how they put it together like that, it's pretty cool to watch the process.
Lots of layers in there to make that thing durable.
You would think it would be more of like a machine process, but yeah, it's cool to watch it done by hand like that.
Yeah, well, on some of the composite core stuff, it's a different type of process that's a little bit less labor intensive, but your traditional diving board is, there's a fair amount of human labor applied in there.
And that's still being done in Cambria in that same factory? Or are you guys
actually, our diving board production now is in our Tucson facility.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. We have to check that out.
Yeah. So when did the company start building slides, and why did you guys get into that side of the business?
Yeah, so their entry into that category predates me, but from what I can tell and what I've been told by folks that have been around, they entered the slide category in 84 or 85 with the acquisition of Aqua Slide and Dive, which kind of it was in bankruptcy, I guess. And so Smith bought that, and that's kind of when we started making acrylic slides, with the metal ladder, those types of things that, our Rogue slide, which is the one I'm talking about, that's been around for eons. And then in 2004 or 5, we did our first roto-molded slide, which utilizes kind of more of a plastic material, and that you can do quite a bit more elaborate kind of design elements.
Do most slides or all slides usually have water running down it? It's kind of make it a little slippery.
Not all of them, but most of them do. I mean, that's part of making sure it's a good slide experience, right? You want a wet flume, and it helps things move along better, as well as if something is heated up in the sun, it kind of cools it, those types of things. So the bulk of what we do comes with some sort of water delivery option.
Not having some tacky hose ran to the top of it or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do that kind of stuff. We have plumbing hookups, where you can just take a straight garden hose and do it, or, but if it's done at the time the pool's being built, obviously the builder can put in the appropriate plumbing, and all of that can be, cleaned up very nicely.
You have a pretty wide line though, right? Like from like basic, like you said, with the ladder to now these new custom.
We have 6 or 7 different slide models that range in size, and we have smaller slides, a Cyclone, which is really geared for like little kids, and then we have our Slide Away, which is our smaller slide that's not permanently mounted near the pool, right? You can keep it in your garage, and when the grandkids come over, you can wheel it out and set it up and fill it with water, and then hook it up to your hose, and get a great slide there for the weekend. And then when they're gone, it can go back in the garage, and grandma and grandpa can look at their nice, aesthetic pool without a slide there kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of takes that eyesore away of that metal slide. You see some of those pools, older pools, that have that metal slide just sitting there all the time. I really like that idea, because you can, like you said, bring it on and off, and it makes your pool be what you want it to be, and then you can hide
it. It seems like a great marketing idea too, where somebody sees that, they're like, "Whoa, does that slide have wheels on it? I need to get one of those."
And you guys did it with an older lady too, so it looks, as the video is pretty.
I'll tell her that when we're having lunch on Thursday.
His name's Tyler, not me.
No, I like that. I just meant to go along with your marketing point. Like they use somebody that you wouldn't typically see pushing out a slide.
Yeah, we had.
Wait a minute. Are you related to that person?
Yeah, is it your mom?
Oh, she works for me.
I was like going out to lunch. Do you usually go out to lunch with the models?
Yeah. No. But we had some grandma, ask grandma buttons made.
Oh, did you?
Kind of. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Have
we
fun
did
with
a
it.
lot of like outbound marketing with that. But
Right,
we did
right,
a ton
right.
of like
Internal stuff
within Smith. Kind
Yeah, that's fun. That's cool. Yeah, it's a cool design. I mean, what kind of goes into building those slides like that? You guys have a facility for that as well?
Yeah, so we partner with several rotomolding manufacturers who've made the capital investment in the giant machines, and then we do all of the we do the actual design, and then the molds are generally made by somebody else. And one of the things that we do, Smith's very like safety first, and so one of the things we do is all of our deck-mounted slides meet or exceed the Consumer Product Safety Commission standard for swimming pool slides, of which there is one. And I mean, it's a regulation you're supposed to follow. So we do a lot of in-design testing, as well as when stuff comes off the machine, we'll have all the product put through all the relevant tests by an independent third party, so that we know everything is up to spec that needs to be. But I mean, their slides are a large manufacturing project. I don't know if you've ever seen like a turbo twister, which is one of our largest residential slides. I mean, the box is, and there's several of them, but one of them's 6 feet high, and so it's a major thing that shows up to the property to be assembled, and it's not insurmountable. I've put many of them together for trade shows and over the course of time.
Yeah. And do you also sell slide pieces? Because sometimes people are putting slides into, say, in the middle of boulders, or they're doing, like even like the big like water parks. What is that? Great Wolf Lodge. I saw them when they were like installing these huge like pieces of slides. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah. So we have a fairly large custom slide business, which we have several different models that are kind of pre-configured at different lengths and widths, and you kind of choose which one you like, and then you build the supporting infrastructure under it or around it so you can integrate it into the landscape. And then we also do fully customized slides. We have a build your own slide where you can actually kind of spec out, left turn, right turn, straight. And it's more for your very elaborate installations. And then the builder will usually give us their plan. We have a computer model. We'll put it through to make sure that, we're still within the guidelines of CPSC.
What is that?
That's the Consumer Product Safety Commission standard. So even when you're doing a custom slide, you need to meet that standard.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm thinking a little bit about when we had our pool service company, and we would run into a lot of homes that had an existing diving board and slide, but they were extremely outdated. And I like to think that there was quite a few customers that, wanted to know, they want a quote on a new slide, don't know anything about that, want a quote on a new diving board, how to go about that. So maybe we'll start with a diving board, because I think that might be the most common. Either one, we'll just say that there is one, but it's old. What's the best way to go about, in replacing, a new diving board?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. We do a ton of base and board replacement today. The first thing you'll want to do is inspect the product to make sure that what's there, it still has it, structural integrity.
In terms of like it being bolted to the ground,
so
is that a standard of where the holes line up?
Yeah. So the jig should be fine. The only thing you'll want to make sure about the jig is it placed properly for the type of pool that it's on? It may or may not be, but you can tell that pretty quickly with some measurements. But most of the time, if the jig was installed properly, that's basically rebar and concrete, right? It's going to last very, very long time. And a lot of times the base tends to be pretty stable. It might get discolored, things like that. but those are easily replaceable. Boards will, if it's been out there 10 years in heavy use, I mean, you may see cracking. The pads may be worn off. Your warning labels may have worn off, that kind of thing. Then it's time to replace. But literally, if the jig's in good shape and it's placed properly, you can slap a whole new board and base and, stand and base on there, and it's not a big deal. I mean, it's literally 60 to 90 minutes of labor.
Okay.
What if
So
the
that's
bolt-
nothing that people should be scared of doing. If a homeowner wants something replaced, that's something just about anybody should be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you order the right board for your stand, right, all the holes line up and that type of thing. It's just pulling the old one off and reapplying the new one.
Figuring that stuff out, do you have information on your website?
Oh yeah, we
about-
have videos and all those types of things for folks that want to type their pool to see if they can actually put a diving board on the pool.
Perfect.
We give you we actually have a retrofit kit where you can go out to a pool that the diving well is appropriate for a diving board, but it has a finished concrete deck. We have basically a kit where you can install those connection bolts right into the deck without any jackhammering. You
Oh, wow.
basically hole saw
Really?
down
That's
in.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it's a little more involved. You've got to let them, it's been a while since I looked at it, but you've got to drill the holes. You've got to place these things. You got to put epoxy in there. They have to set for like 12 or 24 hours. And then you can come out and put the stand and the board on.
That's cool though, because I mean, if they don't have the bolts coming out of the concrete, then
Yep.
you got a way to actually put one in if customers want it.
Yep. For sure.
Is there anything that you have to do or provide to the city or something if there was no diving board and you're just adding a brand new diving board to an existing pool?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems obvious, but you probably should put a diving board on a diving pool that has
yeah. I mean, you have to from our
not in
perspective.
a kiddie
There's-
pool.
Yeah, not in a kiddie pool. Municipalities differ all over the place, and builders and service companies' approach to how they operate their business differ. One person pulls a permit for everything, another person never pulls a permit. Our guidance would be make sure you got the right type of pool that can accommodate a diving board, and then follow all your local, regulations relative to your city or municipality as it relates to putting stuff on your pool.
I think it'd be like very important in like the Airbnb space for you to report it and document it, right, for insurance reasons and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, me personally, I mean, absolutely, I would do it every time if I'm the homeowner or the builder, just to make sure you got all your bases covered. It'd be like anything you're doing in your backyard that's structural.
Yeah, definitely do your due diligence on that one.
Yeah.
That'll protect you from getting sued if something happens or those things too. You got to be careful with all that.
Yeah.
But-
And when it comes to slides, I
Mhm.
mean, slides can pretty much go in just about any type of pool, correct?
Yeah, generally. There is.
I mean, there's a slide for every pool.
Yeah, we have a slide for all different types of pools. Regardless of the slide, though, there is a sliding envelope, which is similar to the dive envelope. And we have all the specs on our website, but they're like, for example, the center line of the flume, when you take that out across the pool, you have to have 3 feet 6 inches on each side of the center line. That's clear pool, right? You can't have a pool wall close by. You can't have some other stairs or a ladder or some other. It has to be an obstruction-free zone. That's kind of the slider entry point, and then you have to have minimum depths, things like that.
Okay. So that's probably just as easy. I mean, you were talking about these giant boxes. If someone were to order, to replace an existing one,
Mhm.
does it usually come on like a big like semi truck, or is this something you can pick up at distribution, or is it a special order from SR Smith?
Sometimes distribution will have slides in stock. It really depends on the volume the builder's dealing with, whether they want to inventory or not, because it is a very large item, takes up a lot of space in the warehouse. We do a ton of drop shipping to the job site,
Oh,
and
okay.
it comes on pallets, and they just unbox it and then take the pieces back to where they need to be assembled.
Yeah. And I know builders kind of think these things through, but I think this is just another great opportunity for pool service companies to make money, especially during these times where homeowners might be trying to spruce up their existing pool and trying to make it more fun. We're,
Right.
transitioning into the summer. So why not add some more fun to the pool? So this is just another way of making more money, and it's a little bit less work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Installing a new slide, is that pretty easy as well? Besides maybe needing a few bodies to kind of, get this stuff to where it needs to be.
Yeah, probably your biggest hurdles on an existing pool are going to be mounting into the deck, right? Because you don't have open concrete. You've got to deal with penetrating the deck and making sure the placement's proper. And then
can you do what you were saying with the diving board? You have like a retrofit kit?
Well, we don't have a retrofit kit per se, because I'm not exactly sure if like you have a Rogue slide from 1985, if it has the exact same bolt footprint as the one we're producing today. But regardless, if you're putting a slide on an existing pool, right, you need to make sure it's in the right spot. You are going to have to penetrate the deck with the deck anchors and let them cure and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you won't be able to integrate the water delivery system as nicely as possibly you'd want. You're going to have a hose, running on top of the deck kind of thing.
Sure. But it can be done. You probably in the beginning be good to, contract this stuff out. Customer ask you about a slide, do your due diligence, do research on SR Smith, maybe find the right slide, and then, find somebody that's in that space that you can contract to maybe install this at the house and, be along for the ride, see the process. These are things that we saw on the regular, right, Ty?
Yep.
I mean, we saw this all the time where people were wanting, slides or diving boards. And to be honest, things being so crazy and being so busy, never looked into it. We just passed it off to somebody else, which they probably made a great deal of money, where that's something that we could have kept inside of our business.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what bandwidth the service professional has, I mean, there's a variety of things that are pretty low labor content that they can make good money on, right? Like putting in a retrofit diving board, introducing the customer to these removable products that we have coming, the slide away, which is out, and then the dive away that I mentioned to you guys in the pre-show, right? That you can put out there when you want a diving board and take it away when you don't, because a service pro is probably the appropriate person to be drilling the deck,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about like really just not telling the customer no, right? If they ask for something, being able to provide that, and you have an option of doing that, figuring out how you can do it, but you can either make money off the deal or you can maybe make a referral fee or something. But if you figure out how to not tell the customer no, you're the professional, they're looking at you for the information. So, figure out how you can do that.
Yeah, you never want to say no. That's good. I mean, even if you didn't do the work in providing, hey, check out this website. There's a line of different slides. There's different videos, all these different things. Man, that gives you a huge leg up when you're just helping somebody make some of these decisions for sure.
Mm-hmm. And we focus a lot on like the life cycle of the pool. I mean, the pool has a life, right? Most of the time they're built and brand new. It's when you have smaller kids, right? And there's a certain set of things that you want in and around the pool during that time. When they get to be teenagers, that's probably a different set of stuff. And then when they're gone and it's just you and the wife, right? You probably want a different kind of vibe or approach to the pool.
Yep.
I just want privacy now.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we discuss how SR Smith got into handrails and lifts, as well as the variety of lighting features that they offer, such as the awesome new Mod-Lite. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by Leslie's. As a pool service professional, it's important to have the right partners. Leslie's values the important work you do to serve your local communities, and they want to help. With the new Leslie's Pro Partner Program, you can take advantage of the benefits only Leslie's has to offer. As a member of the program, you will get customer referrals and wholesale pricing. Additionally, you can take advantage of Leslie's extended hours during the week and on the weekends. When we were running Brothers Pool Service, we often used Leslie's when we needed supplies, especially on the weekends, and since they have over 900 locations, they were convenient to get to. They also offer free in-store services like water testing and cleaner repair. To learn more, check out episode 151 of the podcast, or stop by your local Leslie's store today to sign up for the program. This episode is also brought to you by Fluidra. With a focus on being a better partner for your business, Fluidra provides you with the products you can count on from the brands you trust, including Jandy, Polaris, and Zodiac, along with the professional training and tools you need to grow your sales and increase your bottom line. As champions of customer-driven innovation, Fluidra creates products that make your job easier and make owning a pool exciting. That way you can concentrate on doing what you do best while Fluidra takes care of the rest. Whether it's providing professional marketing services to help you promote your business, trade-specific software to more efficiently manage your day-to-day activities, or consumer incentives that drive leads right to you, Fluidra is there to assist in any way they can. Currently, you can take advantage of their latest consumer promotion that gives your customers a break on installation while giving you up to $300 rebate on the sale and installation of any Jandy salt chlorinators, along with the new Jandy TrueGuard mineral sanitation system that reduces chlorine use by up to 50%. To find out more, ask about them at your favorite distributor, go to fluidra.com, or click the link below. So, I mean, you mentioned like the pool lifts, and when did you guys get into selling kind of the pool access products like that and handrails and things like that?
Yeah, so handrails, that came in like 81 or 82 with the acquisition of Swan Pool Products. And that's kind of where Smith got into the rail business. And it up until probably 2005, 2004, Smith was largely a board rail slide business, residentially focused. And then we started to kind of build out a commercial business just to try and have something else besides residential to balance the business a bit. And then when the Great Depression hit, right, one of the things we noticed was the residential business took a pretty big haircut and the commercial business kind of didn't follow the same downward trajectory. So at that point we said, you know, we need to, just from a balance perspective and a downside perspective, we need to build out the commercial business as much as possible. So we started looking at different types of products that would fit into that commercial deck equipment portfolio. Lifts were one of the things we identified. We knew that there was this, you know, big giant opportunity out here if the ADA legislation ever got implemented. But quite frankly, we got lucky on the timing of that, right? We have no influence over that.
Sure.
But we identified Reamed International, who is a smaller company owned by a guy named John Caden, who is a real good entrepreneur. We were able to broker a deal with them and bring that into our line. And then, you know, a year or two later, the ADA thing kicked in, and, you know, that for a couple of years there, that business was just lights out, home run, right?
Right. Because that made it required in every commercial pool,
Yeah. So,
and every body of water on that property too.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. So, you know, we got into it to help build out the commercial business. We happened to buy, I think, a really good company that had a very solid, stable product line. And then, you know, we were fortunate that the regulations kicked in.
Yeah.
You know, and every rising tide lift all ship, right? Everybody that was making lifts was doing well. So,
right.
But still very important business for us. We sell it all over the globe, and we're in the process now of redoing, I don't want to say the entire line, but the bulk of the line, and new controls and things like that. So there'll be a lot of innovation coming.
Oh, cool.
In 2022.
A lot of new technology to it.
Yeah.
Or a new look, just like new looks and things.
I don't want to give away the whole enchilada here, but
no, it's all right.
we'll have kind of like a, you know, the car manufacturers use like a universal chassis. We'll have something similar to that will allow us to morph that into a variety of different things.
Nice.
Both from a functionality perspective as well as an aesthetic perspective. So
And what goes into kind of putting those in? I mean, like we talked about, they're pretty much required now, right? But what goes into kind of that process?
So you basically have fixed lifts, which are kind of flange mounted types of designs. So, core drill the deck, bolts go in the deck, holds the lift in place. So those would be like fixed location. And then you can have removable, and those generally come in a couple different flavors. One would be anchor mounted. So you got to drop a 6-inch anchor in the deck. Thing's got a post on it. You wheel it out there. You drop it in the anchor, and you're good to go.
Okay.
And then we have full mobile, which is like our PAL, which is a portable aquatic lift, and that's got a giant weight counterbalance, so you don't have to do anything to the deck. You just push this thing out there, put out the stabilizer legs, and between the stabilizer legs and the weight that's at the base, that holds it in place.
Oh, so it's not required to have it drilled in the side of the pool. You just have to have them.
No, there may be municipalities where they don't want things removed, but it's been a long time since I looked at the ADA. But the ADA requirements are more around placement and how deep in the water and how much deck space and things like that, and how many you need per linear foot of the pool, and if it's multiple bodies of water, that type of stuff versus what you're putting in.
Yeah, that's cool. I get that. I think that's cool. You guys have different options, I guess, for those different scenarios that you can be able to provide that.
And it's a range of price points too, right? Like some people will pay to have the flexibility of not having it on the deck or being able to remove it from the deck at certain times, where other people are like, I'm required to get this. I want to make the minimum investment so I can check the box.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Just depends on everybody.
And we try to accommodate whatever the customer's goals are.
Right. So in 2013, SR Smith got into kind of the lighting business, like you talked about. What was the reason behind that?
So if you think about SR Smith's portfolio, most of our stuff is optional, right? Like you don't need a diving board on a pool. You may or may not need a ladder or a rail, depending on what other means of access you've done. So what we wanted to do was find something that had a higher attachment rate, right? And lighting literally goes on every pool. I mean, I can't really think of any it doesn't. So that was the idea, is let's get into a product line that it's going to go on every pool and may or may not go on every pool. So that was kind of the logic behind it. And, obviously Fiber Stars was at one time kind of the cat's pajamas when fiber was the be all end all kind of way to light your pool. And we still do a fair amount of fiber optic lighting today, because you can do some super elaborate kind of cool designs with a star floor and all those types of things. But we also have a pretty burgeoning business in fiber to LED replacement. So we have kits and programs where, if a guy goes out or gal goes out and sees that they've got old fiber in the pool, and most of that fiber now has faded, and if it's working, it's lighting the pool very poorly. And with these kits, you can literally pull that stuff out, pull the LED stuff in, hook it back to the transformer. You're off to the races. And the impact to the pool is demonstrably different than what the customer's seeing previously. I actually think, I would argue, it's one of the least expensive ways to make your pool look like you just spent a ton of money upgrading. Right? Better lighting makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
That's why movie stars look so good all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So we've done a fair amount of training, as well as videos. We have an online program that I want to say since the beginning of the year, we've had 350 or 400 guys go through and take the training on fiber to LED replacement.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty big market opportunity, and, you can charge a couple grand, and it's, if you don't run into any complications with like the underground piping,
Lines being pinched or
lines being pinched or
Yep.
something, it's a very quick, path to revenue.
don't have me do it.
That's true. This dude is a curse.
Yeah. So we're
Every year.
focused kind of on trying to replace, what was out there from Fiber Stars. And then we've got, core lights that we sell. And then one of the things that I noticed when I came over to the business was lighting's a pretty crowded space. There's lots of folks doing lighting. And so
Mhm.
how do you stand out and make a difference and all that kind of stuff? And we didn't want to go down the road of the bake-off sheet of, mine's 50 watts and yours is 51. And,
Yeah.
well, mine has 10,000 lumens and yours has 10,001. And just so we took kind of a different approach. And one of the things when I was researching, I was like, it is a pain in the, to change a pool light, man.
Yes.
It's like, it's ridiculous. It's super costly. It's time consuming. It's a pain in the butt. So I was like, gosh, is there something we could do differently there? And then we thought about, the goal was, let's make a light that's as easy to change as a light in your house, right? Just reach in and change it. And so that's where we came up with Mod-Lite, which is it's basically a wireless LED lamp, right? So we have a little it's like a golf tee style emitter that has a coil in it, and that's what you put in the nicheless fixture that gets connected to the transformer. And then we have basically a wireless lamp that has a corresponding coil in it. And when the golf tee is energized or the coupler is energized and you bring the lamp within close proximity, it lights the lamp, right? You create a wireless spot. So much like if you're charging your phone wirelessly,
Mhm.
those make contact. But, and the beauty is you can switch those things out. You can reach in the water and just switch them out,
Yeah.
right? There's no...
So you have to pull the light one time, basically, that stays in there, and then you can replace the light bulbs,
Yep,
in a way, right?
exactly. Or you can sell them and have the consumer do it if you wanted to go down that route, right? You could also upgrade the lamp. If we bring out something whiz bang that you like. So like right now we have something called multi-white, which is the only LED lamp that has 3 shades of white in the same light.
Okay.
So which sounds like a subtle thing, but at different times of the day and the different types of pool finishes or tiles, the white light tends to help it pop a little more.
It's almost like adjusting the brightness,
Yeah. Yep.
kind of like a dimmer, a light.
Dimmer
you
lamp,
can,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we do with our, we have a PoolX Premier, which is kind of our own little dedicated lighting controller. And in there, you can actually adjust the hue of the color. So you could go from light blue to dark blue, as well as you can dim. And I think we're the only ones that have that capability in a package that's less than $1,000. So 3 lights in this controller,
Wow.
you're off to the races. And that's a capability that customers understand dimming and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Turn
And
that green pool blue real quick.
And the Mod-Lite, is it just as powerful as your standard lights?
Yeah,
More
from
more
a
powerful?
light output perspective, it's comparable.
Yeah.
It's a 8-watt light at the coupler, but you lose some. The wireless transmission isn't as efficient as a direct wire, so you only get about 7 watts on the light side.
Mm-hmm.
But we take the approach of, we think it's better to have something that's long lasting and maybe just slightly less bright, so we don't overdrive our LEDs. We've got a lot of thermal protection built in. We don't want you to have to be replacing lights, every 2 years or something.
All right. Oh,
Is
it's
it
really cool.
difficult getting into that side of the business? That seems like
Yeah,
quite different.
Yeah, I think customers had huge cognitive dissonance when the diving board guys bought a light company, right? It just doesn't make sense. But if you think of it from the attachment perspective, right? Smith wants to be involved in something where they're going to get more opportunities to be on more pools. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, more from like the type of technology that's going into it. This is kind of a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, and there's huge risk with that, right? Like the pioneers are the people that get scalped, right? So, I mean, we spent probably 2 years developing the technology. And during those 2 years, we had several sets of customers that we were working with very closely, because, I've been in the industry long enough to know that like something that's wildly different is going to create a lot of skepticism till it starts to kind of prove its worth. We introduced it in July of 2019, and we had decent sales. We met our expectations, but it wasn't like off to the races. But in 2020, it was off to the races. And this year, it's even better because now people trust the technology, right? And it makes a lot of sense that you can just switch lights out when you need it. And then we've got some things that we're about ready to push over the finish line now that I think will even make it more attractive to people. Because right now, the way Mod-Lite works, it's not formally integrated with big 3 controllers, right? So it can't replicate their color schemes and shows, but that won't be the case moving forward.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're going to take another quick break. When we get back, Brett breaks down the in-pool furniture SR Smith offers, the key acquisitions they have made over the last few years, and several items they have for the commercial and competitive swimming space. This episode of the Pool Chasers podcast is brought to you by CCH. CCH is your pool and spa chlorination solutions for backyards, hotels, apartments, condos, and athletic facilities. Their lineup of cyanuric-free disinfection solutions help bathers enjoy a sparkling, clean pool experience. No trichlor? No problem. Research shows it can take 6 times the amount of water to keep CYA in recommended ranges using trichlor as compared to water needed to keep CCH in recommended ranges with calcium hypochlorite. With an easy load cartridge to control dosing and a drain port to prevent spills, their new CCH Endurance Feeders is easy to install and service. Using a slow-dissolved calcium hypochlorite tablet, it offers the convenience of traditional trichlor feeder systems, but with the benefits of a non-stabilized cal hypo system. It's a CYA-free, no-drip, slow-dissolve, low-maintenance alternative for residential and commercial pool chlorination. To find out more, listen to episode 153 of the podcast, visit cchpoolcare.com, or click the link below. This episode of Pool Chasers podcast is also brought to you by Lion Financial. Partner with industry leader in swimming pool loans, Lion Financial, to make backyard dreams come true. Lion Financial has financing options for swimming pool and home improvement projects of $5,000 and above, including pool equipment. Their programs offer your customers the very best in pool financing solutions, including rates as low as 2.99%, terms up to 25 years, unsecured loans up to $150,000, and options available for credit scores of 620 and above. Lion Financial is proudly veteran-owned and operated. In gratitude for active or retired military members, Lion Financial is offering a new promotion in 2021 with rates as low as 5.75% for 20 years or rates as low as 5.99% for 15 years, both on approved credit. This program offers completely free financing as a show of appreciation for those who have served our country. Speaking of free, it's absolutely free for pool contractors to partner with Lion Financial. Financing options make it easier for your customers to say yes to a pool. Lion Financial never charges prepayment penalties or consulting fees to your clients and partners with both you and your customers until the project is complete. Lion Financial pays pool professionals directly, ensuring you are paid on time and in full, with flexible draw schedules available upon request. When it comes to something as important as a pool, work with true professionals who have the best interests of both you and your customers in mind. With more than 42 years of experience specializing in pool financing solutions, why trust anyone but the experts? Call Lion Financial today or click the link below for more information. So tell us more about the inline furniture you guys kind of launched in 2018.
Yeah, so when we purchased Interfab, that was a line of product they had in development, and they were fairly far along. And obviously, Ledge Lounger's done a great job of creating that category. And we didn't really have anything that competed directly with them because the ones we were working on were more of the high-end RTM kind of finish, so kind of your premium type finish product.
What does RTM mean?
Resin transfer molding. It's basically a way of constructing with composites and very lightweight.
You say it's like boat finish in a way?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a boat hull on the outside is what it would look like. But obviously ours are speckled and all those types of things.
Oh, that marine grade.
Yeah, so we went ahead and finished the initial products. And one of the things that we did very well was we understood what kind of the major weak points were of the competitor. And one of the real challenges is when that thing's in the water and fills with water, it's very difficult to move. And so our design, the way we put it together, has a lot of like drain holes. So when you go to move it, the water exits, making it a lot lighter to move. So we solved kind of a movement issue there. And we just had a lot of people that like the nice finish. You know, if you're spending a ton of money on your pool finish and tile and things like that, you want something that's equally cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had good year one sales, exceeded our expectations. And so now we've gone down the path of we've got 4 or 5 different derivative kind of designs that we're in various states of completing, as well as we now have a rotomolded version of that same lightweight design that's more cost competitive, and it would be more comparable to competing with the category leader. You know, so we're giving people another option besides the ledge lounger.
I mean, it's probably a good thing. I mean, sure, it might be competition, but with so many pools being built right now, it's probably a good thing that there's almost like some help in the space, creating, you know, more like really nice furniture, because it's probably extremely hard to keep up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, competition's always good. I think it brings, you know, if done properly, it brings out the best in everybody. But yeah, you're right. I mean, demand has outstripped supply right now. I don't think you guys have probably talked to anybody that says, "Oh yeah, we're hitting on all cylinders and everything's going great," and you know, everybody's behind. And
not lately.
Yeah,
no.
So anyway, yeah, I think it's good that customers have choice, you know, for what they want or need and can get it when they need it, kind of thing.
Well, you've had like several key acquisitions over the last 3 or 4 years. You want to talk about those a little bit? Kind of.
Yeah. So
your Interfab, T-Star.
Interfab obviously was a giant one. I in my mind, I think of it like you ever see the science show where the snake eats like a goat? You know, and it's like it takes days and weeks for it to digest. That's
usually
kind of what
YouTube,
it was.
but yeah,
that's kind of what the Interfab thing was like. I mean, great company. You know, obviously it'd been a competitor for a long time, but a lot of synergies and similar mindsets and really good people and products. But you know, when you buy something that's half as big as you are, and you try to assimilate that, right? There's
learning curves.
Yeah.
So you were the snake and they were the goat.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's kind of the best analogy I can think of how long it takes to kind of metabolize a,
right,
you know, big acquisition and bring cultures together and, you know, stuff like that. And I would argue we're almost fully through it now, but we probably got this season before it's completely like, you know, leaned up, so to speak, because that was the biggest one we'd done since I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other ones have been a little bit smaller,
right?
But that obviously changed the game for us significantly in the U.S. And then we did another large one in Australia in 2019. We purchased a company called Sunbather, which most folks in the U.S. aren't familiar with them, but they're the largest solar pool heating company in Australia. Really, really cool product line. They also do a fair amount of pool covers, thermal pool covers, which is also something we do in the States, as well as they do just kind of general pool covers. And so that's part of our Australian business. And then we also, just this year in January, we did acquisition of Stark Bulkheads, which is, if you're at all familiar with commercial competitive facilities, it's basically a movable floating wall that runs the width of the pool, and it's 4 or 6 feet wide. I mean, they're gigantic. It's akin to like the size of an airplane wing is what it kind of, in terms of scale. And that's another thing that fits within our commercial portfolio.
We saw the video
nicely
on that. That thing is pretty incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's basically a floating wall that when it fills with water, they can be used for swim meets. You can use them to divide the pool, to have different programming on each side of the pool. So it really helps a facility generate more revenue from the same asset if you do it right.
How does that work exactly? Like, how does it go up and down?
We have two kind of pool programming products. One that we mostly sell in Australia called a swim wall, and then in the States we have the Stark Bulkhead. So the Stark Bulkhead is a monolithic piece. It's basically fiberglass. It runs the width of the pool. They're 4 or 6 feet wide, and they move up and down the pool depending on what type of event you want to run, right? So if you're doing a 25-meter swim thing, or you're doing water polo, you basically float it into the position and then it locks down onto the deck.
Oh.
Okay. But it's constantly there in the pool at one end or another, locked into a position. The swim wall is similar construction, but it's narrower and it sits on the bottom of the pool. It's hinged to the bottom of the pool. So when it's not in use, it's basically sunk and sitting on the bottom of the pool. When you want to put it in use, you pump air into it. It comes up vertical and locks into place. So, but the idea is they're both pool separation kind of products. One is movable and floats on the water, and another one sits on the bottom of the pool and can pop up when you need it. The swim walls have really taken off in Australia because a facility can put it in, and in the same body of water that yesterday you were only able to do one thing, you can now have 2 separate things going. So a smart operator will use it as a way to boost revenue, which is obviously very important for public pools because none of them have a ton of money.
Yeah.
Right.
Do different activities in one body of water.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could have
Different
senior
classes.
water aerobics going on over here, and you could have, water polo practice going on in the other section.
That would be funny to see.
Yeah.
I mean, just two
completely
complete
opposite.
opposite classes. Moving a little slow over here, and then there's just like craziness.
Yeah. And then the swim wall, because it comes in sections, you can have half of it up and half of it down. So I've seen it where swimmers are practicing 25-meter turns, and while other folks are swimming in the lanes next to them at 50 meter.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Right. So there's all kinds of like creative uses for it.
Yeah. So what else are you guys involved with the competitive swimming space?
Starting blocks are another big business for us. We have a range of starting blocks. The ones that I tend to focus on are Velocity Advantage series, because that's kind of our flagship, and it comes with things like a track start, which is a little wedge that can be placed at different positions across the top of the block, which is very similar to what you see in a traditional track meet kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big business for us. And we have, since all of them are custom, you can get them with different types of backstroke bars and different types of, we put that true tread that I mentioned earlier on top, so you can get different color schemes. We do logoing. It's a pretty big business. And and it's fairly complementary to something like a bulkhead, because a lot of times the bulkhead will have starting blocks mounted on it, right? So there's things we could maybe do to, make it nice to have SR Smiths on an SR Smith bulkhead kind of thing. We also do lane line reels. We're working on some lane line activity, but it's been slowed a little bit because of the pandemic. From a competition facility, that'd probably be the main things that we have. We do a ton of stuff for your general commercial facility, from, lifeguard chairs and pool lifts and some other things that we've talked about previously.
Yeah. When you're building these, anything new, I mean, you guys have so many different items out there. How do you go about figuring out how to make this product be the best it can be? I mean, are you actually talking to these swimmers? Do you have a team that is going out and talking to these swimmers, talking to homeowners? How do you make the best product possible?
Yeah. So,
because it's not like you're just sitting in a pool all day, just I wish I had this. I wish I had that. I wish this were better.
Right.
Yeah. We try to do a fair amount of research around what challenges customers are having, with different types of pools. We spend a fair amount of time at commercial facilities trying to understand what the operator is facing. And as it relates to swimming, I think I mentioned our VP of sales is a former gold medal Olympian. And we have several competitive swimmers on staff. So they have a really good understanding of what coaches face, what clubs face, what the actual swimmer faces. So we've got a lot of, I think, inputs into things that need to be improved, or challenges in operating a commercial facility, or a homeowner, the challenges they face or a builder faces. And then we try to come up with, and sometimes builders will give us ideas, but mostly we try to come up with ideas that address those things. And then we circle back and try to vet the concept with them. And then when we get to a prototype, we try to vet that with them. Is this still tracking to what we thought we were able to do? So we try to keep the customer involved along the way.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. A good explanation for sure.
My mind's going crazy right now, just thinking about all these things that you make. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's a lot to manage.
Well, it really starts making you think about how many use cases a swimming pool has. We always think about it being in the residential space because of, what we talk about in the podcast, but has so many different uses where, it's at the athletic clubs, like the, Lifetime Fitness. It's at the water sports park. It's, now they have these companies, they're doing like the custom waves, and all these different things need all the products you're talking about, whether it's, the handrails or the diving boards and the slides and the nicheless lights, all these different things. So it's just pretty cool to, be all of us, sitting here, be involved in this really cool space that we're in.
Yeah, the industry's a lot of fun. And I mean, the product puts a smile on people's faces. Not many people can say they work somewhere that does that. So from that perspective, it's good.
Yeah. And I think we've, most people that are in this industry probably seen the SR Smith logo, or, didn't know that you guys did so many things. I know I didn't when we first had the conversation. Like, learning more about you has been really fun, and talking about that and just seeing how wide, your product line goes. It's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think most everybody in the industry knows SR Smith, right? It's just a brand that's been around a long time. But yeah, I agree with you that
it's probably hard to keep up with exactly what all products you do have,
Yeah. Well, I mean, people are busy, right?
Yeah.
And busier than they've ever been. And there's a lot of noise out there, and people only have so much bandwidth. And so I wouldn't expect them to know everything that we do. And we try not to waste people's time with things that aren't going to add value to their business, right?
Yeah. And I think it depends on what sector you're in. We, coming from pool service, SR Smith products aren't really something that we used a whole lot at the stage we were in. As time goes on, you start doing more things that you might buy these items. But I think a lot of pool service companies are going to have a leg up because I'm sure every builder knows what this is, SR Smith is. But pool service companies that, understand what we're talking about more and go on the website and learn it in and out, and you're going to be unstoppable. It's just one more thing, to put in your,
resume, your tool belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that you
for
can, help a customer with. So huge advantage for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been awesome learning about you guys. So where can people find out more information?
srsmith.com. That's probably the best place to start. Or if you want to follow us on your favorite flavor of social media, that's good too. We do a fair amount of Instagram and Facebook and some LinkedIn, but we're pretty selective about what we put up there. Those types of things. And then we also, if you go on the website, you can register for the newsletter. We have a dedicated, there's only one place you go on our website, go to this place called Trade Central, which is just for the trade. And it's got big icons that you can click on and take you right to everything you need, from literature to videos to tools, training, contests, you name it, it's all there.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we'll put all the links in the show notes and everything for everybody. But we appreciate you coming down from Oregon and the studio. We had a good time with you.
Yeah, thanks for getting me to the land of nice weather.
Right.
You're welcome. I mean, more than welcome to take it with you.
Yes. This would be a hottest day in summer for us.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we don't get in the 90s that often. So I'm fine with it. So
cool. Well, thanks
all
again.
Right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it a lot.
Hey, Pool Chasers. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. To connect with today's guests, including pictures, links, and resources from everything discussed today, you can visit the episode page at poolchasers.com or click the links below. To connect more with us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter by searching at Pool Chasers. If you would like to support the podcast, the easiest and most effective way is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as share the show or your favorite episode with a friend or on social media. Also, you can get early access to each episode by supporting us through Patreon. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for sharing some of yours with us today.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.